Hello everyone. My name is Andrew, and I will be teaching you guys AP Chem for this semester. And it's nice to see you guys, and we'll begin. So today, instead of just going right into the actual subject, I want to just generally explain about the AP Chem exam and the curriculum, because I believe it's much more important to know what you're learning instead of just going straight in without background information. So for the course description, I'll explain what AP Chem basically is. So AP Chem is an introductory college level chemistry course. Students cultivate their understanding of chemistry through inquiry-based lab investigations as they explore the four big ideas: scale, proportion, and quantity, structure of substances, transformation, and energy. So basically, it's a bit fancy, but basically it's about chemistry, as you guys know, but it's just not regular chemistry. It's going to be a level of chemistry equivalent to the college first level of chemistry, and it will be a much more expanded concept of chemistry than what you guys have learned in the general chemistry when you guys are in 10th grade. So it's going to be a lot harder than that, but I think it's still pretty manageable. So AP Chem, obviously, you guys will take it at May, and I'll explain to you guys about the general exam. So the exam is divided into two parts, with the one being MCQ and the other one being FRQ. So the MCQ and the FRQ is obviously the two main sections, and each of them will take 50% of your score. So basically, your MCQ score will be the 50% of your total score, and the FRQ is going to be the other 50% of your score. And after the grading is done for both sections, the combination of the two scores will directly impact your actual AP exam score, which is scaled 1 to 5. So the first section of the exam is the MCQ, and you will receive it as soon as you begin. And I just wrote calculator because calculator is allowed, but I'll go more deep into this later. So MCQ is divided into 60 questions, and you will have to solve the 60 questions in 90 minutes. So by this, you think it's pretty long because you have to solve one question per 1.5 minutes, basically. But as a person who's taken it last year, I think MCQ is actually much more manageable in terms of time. And in my actual exam, I believe I finished it in less than 60 minutes, so I don't think it's much time consuming than as it may seem. And the next section of the exam is FRQ. And I also wrote calculator because it's calculator a lot, but we'll go into this later. So the FRQ is composed of 7 questions, and within the 7 questions, there's going to be, oh, there's a number error, but it's 3 long and 4 short. So basically, there's going to be 3 long FRQs where there's going to be one question, and there's going to be the sub questions, as you guys may know from other exams, the A, B, C, D. So for the long ones, they usually go up to G, but it depends on the question, but they usually go around till G or maybe a bit longer. And those will be 4 questions of your 7 questions, and they will be obviously worth a lot more points, in which for this case, it's going to be 10. And the other FRQ is going to be the 3 short FRQs where they're gonna be worth a lot less, but they are still gonna be the 3 short FRQs, and there's gonna be A, B, C, D for the subsections. Sometimes they do have A, B, C, but it's usually A, B, C, and D. And for the FRQ, it's gonna last around 105 minutes, which is equivalent to 1 hour and 45 minutes. And while as in MCQ, you would be a lot more, I guess, less pressured in time, but FRQ, because you have to solve the question and write like an essay, basically, it's going to be a lot more time consuming, and your time management is going to be a lot more important for the FRQ. Yes, so the calculator. If you look at the previous slide, I said that, you could use calculator on both sections. So calculator in this AP Chem exam and afterwards, it's both available for the MCQ and the FRQ. Previously, and the calculator was only allowed in the FRQ section, and in the MCQ, you couldn't use the calculator. And this is pretty big because in chemistry, obviously, calculator is very important. So I'll show you the formula sheet later on, but in chemistry, it's a course where it's very heavily math based. There's a lot of equations and you have to put in various values in it. And most of the values are going to be involving difficult, not difficult, but complicated math concepts such as log and decimals, and you have to do a lot of multiplications, divisions, and all that. And because the numbers are pretty big and small, like as in there's like 10 to the 24th power, and it's really big. You can't do it in your head, and you have to do it with a calculator. So it's very important. So on your test day, if you don't have a calculator, then you basically have to send prayers because it's genuinely impossible to solve it without a calculator. So for the MCQ, I told you guys that it has been illegal that of using your calculator. And so the reason why they banned the calculator for the MCQ is that they made the MCQ previously such that you could solve it in a mental math. So when the FRQ would ask you questions like what is 2 times 3, 7 times 4 times 5, 6, those kind of difficult math questions, the MCQ would just ask what is 2 times 3. So they will get numbers that are much easier to manage. So that's why they banned the calculator. But now that they allowed the calculator or the MCQ from the last year when I took it, the numbers got, in my opinion, got a little bit more dirty, but it's not like super dirty, like up to 2 decimal places, and I think it's still pretty manageable. So the calculator is very important, so please keep that in mind. So next is the formula sheet. So this formula sheet is going to be your life sheet for the AP Chem exam. So it's gonna have all these equations, and obviously you guys would have no idea what all these are, and they look complicated. So so at the beginning of the exam, also for the MCQ, by the way, they're going to give you the formula sheet, and they basically have everything that you will have to use for the test. And the thing is, you do not have to actually memorize the equations. Like, for example, if you look at E equals HV here, it's obviously important that you know what equations they are, but you don't have to memorize them in the actual test because obviously you have the paper. But in my experience, if you solve more and more questions like before your test as a practice, you just like automatically have it in your head and you'll know what to use on what situation. So this is very important, but you guys don't have to be really pressured. These like when you guys later solve the actual question, you'll just think this just as a regular number instead of all these, complicated decimals and everything. So that's that. But this is very important, and you guys should always have it when you guys are solving the MCQ and the FRQ. Yeah, so next I'll be talking about how difficult AP Chem is overall. So if you guys know, in general, AP Chem is deemed as one of the most difficult, I guess, AP exams out of various AP exams there are. And in my opinion and my experience, I do think AP Chem is more on the difficult spectrum. And I'll show you guys this data that I found. And by the way, this data is from official college boards, so they're legit. And as you guys see, these are the score distributions for the AP Chem exam based on the different years. And I also brought up for some other AP exams that you guys may have took or maybe are taking right now, so that you guys could take it as a reference of how they compare to AP Chem. So this is the data, and if you guys look at this year, you guys would see that the 2014 has a red, or not red, but orange mark on it. And the reason why this has an orange mark is because the AP Chem has been renovated once, and in which that they entirely changed the format of the exam on 2014, I believe, in which that they just changed how the MCQ and FRQ would work out. So that's why they have this. So the exams after 2014 is different than the exams before 2014. So for the score distribution, this is the most recent one. The 5 is around 15%, and these are the 4s, 3s, 2s, and 1. So 50% is obviously pretty, I guess, reasonable, yet difficult. But the thing is, this 15% is like an inflated value from last year's exam because like in the previous years is the percentages were a lot lower. So if you guys look at 2022, 2021, they're around 11%. On the previous years, 10%, 10%. Yeah, yeah. So as you guys see, AP Chem is generally a really difficult exam where only around 10% of the population who took the exam get a 5. And so I'll compare it with other exams. So AP Psych, maybe a lot of you guys have taken it or maybe are taking. And it's probably a best one to compare to in terms of difficulty. So in the general spectrum, AP Psych is considered a lot more easier compared to Chem because as you guys see in the numbers, the rate of the 5 is around 17% if you go, and if you go to the previous years, it's around 20%, which is a lot higher compared to AP Chem's 11%, although the recent one is the 15%, so I think they're maybe making a lot easier in the next years. We don't know that yet, but yeah, so AP Psych is a lot higher compared to Chem. And the other one is BC, in which, as you guys see, there's also the renovated date, so it has the highlighted mark. So if you look at BC, it's 40%, which is a lot higher compared to Chem. So it's going to be a lot easier. And to be honest, BC is more of an outlier, but it's obviously much higher than Chem. So basically, Chem is a lot lower in terms of the 5 rate. So therefore, I think is one of the most difficult course in terms of AP. So although it is pretty difficult, it's not impossible, in my opinion. So it is obviously one of the most difficult if you ask other students and maybe teachers. They do think AP Chem is the most difficult because conceptually there's really a lot of stuff. So I'll go over the units more specifically next time, but there's really a lot of concepts that you have to know. And the worst part, or maybe a good part, is that all those concepts intertwine with each other and they really connect each other really well. So if you don't know one concept, then there's a chance that you won't know the other one, and those will form a chain effect. And if you don't know one, you're probably gonna mess up the test because in the FRQ they don't just ask about one concept; they mix various concepts and they give this one question with all sort of things from Unit 1, Unit 7, Unit 5. So it's really important that you clearly know all the concepts and you're ready for all that. But yeah, so it's pretty hard, but I think everyone could manage it. And from next time, I'll go over the actual concepts that we'll be going over. And after that, we'll be actually going through the materials so that, and I hope that you guys can succeed through my lectures that I'll be giving to you guys. And this is it for today in terms of explaining the AP Chem, and I'll hope to see you guys next time. Thank you.